Hello and welcome to another update on the Griffin 450 prototype. This is introducing Griffin 450 prototype number 2, which we are internally calling, since number 1 was G00, this is G01. So this is new chassis, new tanks, new fenders, new engine, everything is brand new. And I want to say this is about 98% what the finished production Griffin will look like. What still is up in the air are small things that we're still refining, like the exact path of the exhaust system, finalizing the exhaust shield, rear rack, and mainly the seat, which will be changed and upgraded as we get closer to production. The first bike basically started off as a raw frame, which you all saw what we launched the Griffin with. Then it turned into a green frame, and then it's gone through a variety of different swing arms. So that's swing arms at the back, this being the swing arm right here, and at the front. So the main thing we've really been working on with the Griffin 450 is the suspension and the suspension geometry. Of course, this is not anything like the Griffin 250 in that it's a new frame, bigger engine, different wheels, etc. But the concept of the 250 in terms of the look of this bike is very similar. This is a natural progression, a development off the 250. Really where we've been putting our effort, as I say, is into the geometry of the suspension and the suspension travel. That is what's going to, along with a more powerful motor and appropriate wheels, that suspension is going to be what really defines this as a more capable off-road motorcycle. The Griffin 250 really is a classic scrambler in the sense that it's a very, very, very close sibling to our old Phoenix 250. Same suspension, same frame, everything. The only thing really different was that it had knobby tires, it had a high exhaust, and a different fuel tank and handlebars. Really not a whole lot different. Still a really capable scrambler in that classic scrambler vein. However, with the 450, as I say, we set out to make this, capture that scrambler, but become more of a capable dual sport motorcycle that can hold its own in the modern dual sport adventure category. And we've got a lot going for us with the Griffin just to start with the fact that this is a very, very lightweight bike compared to almost anything else in the dual sport category, including your DRs, your KLRs, etc. I don't actually have the final number on this bike's weight, but depending on how we're kitting it out, we've ranged anywhere from 325 pounds to 360 pounds. So it will probably be less than the Halcyon 450. But all that said, we're talking about a very lightweight bike, which in our mind, for off-road riding, is a massive advantage. So this is a bike that if it falls over, which all of our prototypes have either fallen over or been dropped, they're really easy to pick up. They don't get damaged. Already the platform lends itself really well to dual sport riding. So to dig in a little bit to what we've been working on the suspension is, let's start with the back. At the rear, we are, and Charlie's probably going to correct me here, but I think we're on the 4th or 5th rendition of the swing arm. And we're experimenting with different swing arm angles, the different geometry of the rear suspension units, and primarily the length of the swing arm. So that defines your wheelbase, which has a huge effect on the way the bike handles. So we've kind of gone from short to long to somewhere in the middle, and now this one is a kind of like a refined version of that. We're very, very happy with it. Still finalizing that, but again, 98% similar to what you will be experiencing on the production Griffin. At the front, it's been a similar story. We have maintained the same fork leg length, which is actually not the same as the Halcyon 450. This is longer to provide the clearance and travel for that 21-inch front wheel. But mainly what we've been working with is the horizontal, or the front swing arm as we call it. Originally, it was just exactly like what you would find on the Halcyon. And what we realized is that a hard bump, with the amount of travel we have, that swing arm could actually dig into the ground. So if you're familiar with older scramblers and dirt bikes with leading link suspension like Greaves, you'll recognize this kicked up front horizontal or front swing arm that even at full bump, so when this thing is pivoted all the way up, like you land a jump or you go over a big bump, this thing comes down to about here rather than digging into the ground and causing a major issue. That was a pretty easy fix because we knew exactly what needed to happen. The other thing that we've been playing with is the location of the shock absorber front mount, and that's gone from here all the way out to here, and now we're kind of, again, sort of similar to the back. We've gone one direction, the other direction, and third arrow finds the mark, and we're very close to what you're going to experience on the production bike. I don't think at this point that you're going to really be able to tell the difference if we do modify it. We're just concerned about things like suspension regression at full bounce, kind of things that most riders are not going to be experiencing in their everyday riding. We've been very lucky to have Jordan Lake, who I'm sure if you've watched our previous updates, you've caught him talking about the flat track bike they've been building for us, in which they're going to be racing in almost a little less than 2 weeks at Sturgis. But both Jordan and the rider for the flat track bike, Blake Wharton, are very experienced motocross riders. They both have a history of racing and have been putting these through their paces, showing us the extremes of what could happen to this bike. You've probably seen some teasers of them riding it. So they've been instrumental in helping us to design this for a more aggressive off-road riding, which, this is still a scrambler, so it's not designed to be a dirt bike by any stretch of the imagination. But like I've said several times now, we want this motorcycle to be a more capable off-road machine that will hold up against other dual sport motorcycles. This is a brand new color. We're all really, really happy with it. I think it'll look really good on a Halcyon too. Fenders have seen a pretty big update, primarily with the center ridge that goes down the middle, the spine that goes down the middle. Brent Lehman, our fender bender, has been working very hard to not only develop the tooling that creates that ridge, but to refine the way that it interacts with the beaded edge. So if you'll notice at the very front that it just gracefully kisses back into the pattern of the fender. The reason for that spine is that we need extra strength in those fenders that are there for real use. If you ride this off-road, you will quickly find that there's mud everywhere or dust or water if you're doing water crossing, and these need to extend out that far without a brace. That's really important. You'll find that on the front and on the rear fender, that beautiful center spine, all handmade here in-house. Just like on the Griffin 250 and the Phoenix 250, this area is a little triangulated section from the main frame back to the subframe, and we use a little stainless steel drilled side cover there. The cool thing on the 450 is that not only is it actually has a brake that allows it to really hug the shape of the chassis, but on the right side, Charlie has gone to great lengths to have an oil sight glass. There's a tube that you can see the oil level on the side, and the side cover is slotted to allow you to see it, and it just looks fantastic. One additional advance we've made with the second prototype is the heat shield, which is very close to what you'll be seeing in production. However, Brent, our fender maker, has been refining that same original design that we use on the 250, but taking it just to another level. So you'll see, of course, the 250 only has one exhaust down the side and has a similar hole pattern and similar shape, but now that we have two exhausts, this is just a really cool opportunity to work with that design. And so for the headers, where the cat is, we've combined it into a single aluminum guard. And then, but to provide some detail, Brent has used put a V groove using tooling on the Polmax into that then separates out into two pieces once it gets back to the muffler. In addition to that, these are not just drilled holes. He's using a dimple die, which is a piece of tooling that allows us to put a lip around each hole. And that typically is used in kind of automotive or body work to add strength. But in this case, not only does it add strength, it really adds a visual appeal and I think a big improvement over just the drilled holes on the 250. Other items on this bike, the rear rack, which you will have seen on the last model. However, now we've mounted a RotoPack. So this is a fuel storage device, super easy to use. You can actually stack these if you want as well. And that mounts directly to the bolt pattern on the rear luggage rack. One thing that, in addition to this, that you'll see on the other side of the bike is we have a aluminum pannier. So this is a large pannier, very similar to the panniers I run on 68 for long distance riding, and basically an invaluable tool for dual sport or adventure riding, where you can actually store stuff in a watertight, secure, lockable container. Of course, you can still put gear across the top, and we're working on refining that. There will be many, many more upgrades and options available for the Griffin 450 as we continue to, or we start producing them. But we feel like this is a really good initial set of kit that we hope to be able to offer with the bike that will get you out on the trail, on the road, exploring and finding adventures in that on and off pavement environment. So that is the update. We're all incredibly excited about this bike. This will be headed straight to Sturgis, where it will be on display and available for test rides, and after which I think it's going to be, or maybe before, going to be hitting a BDR or a backcountry discovery route, doing some more off-road testing. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you with more upgrades shortly.